Welcome to our second week of Advent. The lights are a little bit brighter than we had last week, so we're moving more into Christmas. So if you weren't here last week, we did everything totally in the dark, and we're moving from the dark into that celebration of birth. That particular practice is on our YouTube channel. So if you missed it and you would like to do the whole thing with us, you can find it there. Today we're moving into the second week, which is our body and our physical connection. So if you would settle first with me for our words of the day and just take a breath as we move into that space of body. We're going to be doing some more with the body in a little bit. Also a reminder that the next few weeks are not quote traditional in terms of what we're doing as we explore these ideas. So our words today are the body and being wonder-filled with that and our physicalness in our world. So if you take a breath and recognize that word of wonder and that word body, allowing our heart to swell with gratitude and joy as we behold a wonder-filled world and a wonder-filled body. Taking a breath, we slow down. We mindfully focus on our senses, on the world around us. We recognize the colors and the patterns. We're grateful for all the natural world and the human-made creations. We feel and listen to the music of nature. We smell the sweet aromas that fill the air. And we taste our favorite fresh foods. We recognize the variety of textures that touch our skin. We breathe and we feel this wonder. We affirm a renewed focus of concentration, fully giving ourselves over to that divine within ourselves and the humanity that experiences everything. We are filled with wonder as we recognize our body and awareness. In Acts 3, they are filled with wonder and amazement. We open ourselves to our bodies and to a wonder-filled world. All right, so we're moving on. Again, like I said at the beginning, to our second week of Advent, which is about the body. And again, we're slowly moving towards the light. So those of you here last week, you know, it was like completely dark in here. And we got a little bit more light this week. And we're going to talk about our own physicalness in the mix of all of this. And the idea that the physicalness has always been rooted in that archetype of the great mother, right? Now, in the Advent season, depending on where you're at in the world, depends on which title you're giving that great mother, right? So if we're moving towards the Christmas season, that great mother is seen with Mary and everything that she embodies. You can go though from, and you know me, I like to research, and I held myself back by bringing it all in today, because you could literally go back to written word and written records to find the statues and such of what we as humanity are recognizing as that connection to that mother, that birthing of all life that we are a part of. So that archetype is not only birthing, but it's also new ideas, and it's awareness and hope and solitude and sympathy and wisdom and growth and fertility, all of that in that archetype of Great Mother. We also have dark and foreboding in that archetype, and this idea of being in the darkness, where we started last week. See how that works? And to know that even though when we're only working with the dark and foreboding, that's unhealthy, right? We can consider that the unhealthy part of the archetype, all that foreboding and that worry and that what ifs that we sometimes do to ourselves. And yet, the Great Mother asks us to hold both ends of that without any charge on either one, and to know that they are both part of the life. That yes, there's going to be some darkness and there's going to be some light, and they are both part of the creation. And I don't remember if I mentioned last week, but when you go to Genesis and they talk the Genesis story of the world being created, or the universe being created, darkness is first, right? We have darkness and water is our emotions and our feeling and all of that. Those two things came before the light. So there's no way that it's evil, right? It's the idea of recognizing that they both work together, and that our bodies are a connecting point for that. So in all of it, because every time you see the Great Mother archetype, it's a lady, right? And more often than not, it's a lady either holding a child or very pregnant. Yeah, it's a lot of physicalness that's being recognized. And if we're talking about the birthing experience, there's both the pain and the light with that. You have everything rolled all into one. And yet we recognize that whole experience as beautiful. So we're being called to recognize our whole life as beautiful, as that experience. And again, our bodies as the awareness piece that holds that translates that. Because as we did at the very beginning with all your senses, you know, that we talked about training your senses, tasting your favorite foods, listening to the music of nature. Your senses translate the physical and the non-physical world. It all runs through our bodies. And so to have some kind of body awareness allows us to translate all of that and to recognize what it means for us in the moment. So this time of year, especially since when it starts getting, now at least in our hemisphere, right? It starts getting really dark. We slow down. We do tend to be just with our bodies more than scattering about. It's a season. This season is a time to nurture ourselves and to be tender with ourselves. Now, I know it's sugar season as well. And maybe that doesn't always bode well, but if we listen to our bodies, we know what that tipping point is, right? Between the treat and the overindulgence. And then sometimes we can over focus on invisible things at the expense of the material things. So, you know, we can be in a place where we don't want to deal with anything physical, or we find that place of loveliness in our meditation and we're like, well, that's where I need to be all the time because that's what's most real to us. And yet we're being called to say it's all real to us. That in this case, we can have our cake and eat it too. We can be very, very aware and very, very spiritual at the same time. And then when we do this, when we allow for that body awareness, we can actually be more aware of everything around us, both the places that need our attention because of some kind of pain and suffering, either in ourselves, in our immediate circles or the world, and also the places that are beautiful and joyful that maybe we would miss otherwise because of not being aware. So today I have for you, I have a song that we're going to listen to first. And then I'm going to take you through 2 stages of a practice. Now, this is going to be a little different because I'm going to ask you to move your bodies just a little bit for the first part of the practice, and then we're going to sit still for the second part. So if you're really close to somebody, you might want to be able to not whack them, because I'm going to ask you mostly to just move your arms since we're in the place that we're in. So yeah, just so that you're not whacking your neighbor would be good. So if you just, we're just going to be with the song first. I'm going to walk you through some practice, first a moving and then in stillness. While we're in stillness, Andrew's going to play for us. And then when Andrew's done, I'm going to talk about a few more things. Okay, so you know what the order is today, since it's a little different. If you would take your awareness for me right into your body. Feel the way your feet are on the floor. The way your back's being supported. The way the temperature feels in the room. Taking your awareness into your heart. And if it feels comfortable, placing your hands right there and feeling your heart. Sensing whatever emotions are already there. Feeling the breath moving through your body. Letting your breath be very natural. In and out of your nose. Whatever is perfect for you. And then in this space, allow your body to move in any way that it feels necessary. Is there anything in this past week that's coming into your heart that may have been difficult? May have been hurtful or strainful or stressful? And your body may rock or it may sway. You take your shoulders, and when you inhale, bring them right up to your ears. And let all that out with a sigh. Allow your sound to be unique for you. And again, raising those shoulders, inhaling. And one more. You're not being afraid to let the sound be. We're going to take our hands right in front of us, and we're going to dip those into the well of flowing grace and healing. We're going to bring that up on the inhale and move that all through our bodies. And the whole time we're recognizing how our body feels. And on the inhale, we're scooping. And on the exhale, we're bringing it down through. And then one more time. Following the rhythm of your own breath. Again, taking our hands, placing over our heart. Allowing that river of healing to be very, very present. And how does that feel in our bodies now? And while we're here at our heart, you're going to take just your fingertips, place them at either side, right above your collarbone, and maybe just press in a little bit as you're holding yourself and allowing your bodies to do, again, whatever they need to do. If they need to sway or rock or move, don't deny yourself that. letting go of any battles within ourselves, allowing the breath and that movement and the feeling, allow that to move through and escape through your body any way it needs, whether you feel that moving through your feet, through your hands, or through your breath. Open to whatever you're experiencing without fighting it. And whenever it's comfortable for you, you just move your arms whichever way they need. If you need to come up and stretch and breathe. If you need to push out and breathe. You need to shove those things out through your sides and breathe. And given those couple examples, just allow yourself in these next few breaths to do what feels most comfortable to you. What does your body need? Maybe it's again with the shoulders. Maybe you need to rotate your neck around nice and slow, honoring whatever that is. And shifting our attention back to our hearts and our breath. We're going to allow ourselves to sit quietly, but also honor any movement that feels necessary. Sense what's going on inside yourselves. If there's a struggle, let it be. Let it flow through you and get to the other side. If there's a joy, let it be. Let yourself flow through it and get to the other side. Find out what's on the other side of all these feelings, whether they're inner wars or inner joys. Allow each to our bodies, through our memories, through our senses. I'm going to take a nice breath. You can even move your shoulders back up to your ears again. Moving forward into the week, we talked about sitting with the candle last week. Certainly continue that. I mean, in this week, honor your body as well and try some and there's no right or wrong movement here, right? You can move back and forth, side to side, stretch. The idea is to honoring your body and recognize any emotions that are held in your bodies. Taking a moment or two, like we did today, to practice that during the week. And as you're moving your bodies and paying attention, where do we keep those emotions, right? I know if my back starts hurting, I need to check in with myself and see what it is I'm really, really worried about that I'm not paying attention to. And I know that spot is for me. Yeah. Now, sometimes maybe I twisted wrong. That's always the case too. But sometimes, a lot of times, it's like your body's like, pay attention, there's something going on. I know when I was a classroom teacher, in November of every year, we had parent-teacher conferences. Now, from the time I was young, I struggled with the change of seasons and maybe getting a cold or a bronchitis or something. That was always in me. But I found when I was teaching, I would get laryngitis like clockwork in November. Now, after a little while of that, start paying attention. It's like, oh, I really don't want to talk at these conferences. There's something about that that's weighing on me or whatever, or worrying me. So that was a clue to work with that. Why was that? Why was I afraid of that or didn't want to do that? You know, those are just a couple of my own examples, but everybody has them. And now everybody's is in the same place, right? So it's the idea of finding those. How are you working with the world around you to actually tell you where you need to be for recognition and healing? Your body being that connecting point again, for not just your emotions, but for what your soul is like, pay attention to this right now. Let's get on with it. And then if you would like, I know not everybody's a writer, but if you journal the experiences, you never have to share them with anybody, but there is something with our body and writing those things that really helps us bring things into focus. And I know I'm more of a typer than a writer, but switching to actual handwriting for these exercises does help that body connection. If you want to try some of that this coming up week. Okay.